Morning, friends. Welcome to another Sunday meeting of United Lodge of Theosophists. Just a few words of introduction. While perusing the quotation book for Mr. Judge for today, I came upon, he stating here, questions of the sort like, what then is the universe for, and what is the final purpose of man, the immortal thinker, in evolution? And also it says, it is for the experience and emancipation of the soul. So, such vast topics, so broad in their scope. Where is it that one can go and find a place where one can truly and openly discuss such subjects as that and maintain that steady line of inquiry? And such a place is right here where we are right now. And it's stated in our declaration that it's so broad, the work that encompasses is so broad that it's already packaged and presented in the message from the masters and through the messenger. Those questions have been answered, and so we come here to deal directly with that what they have presented. And that platform leaves no time or inclination to take part in side issues. Therefore, we have no constitution, no bylaws, no officers. The sole basis of unity among fellow students here and worldwide is the focusing on the message, the masters, and the message that they have presented. Okay? It regards as Theosophists all who are engaged in true service to humanity without consideration of race, creed, code, sex, or condition. And it welcomes to its accord all those who are in accord with just what's been stated here. It says, the true Theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all. The reading. We'll now have a reading.
The reading is from Light of Asia. Om, Amitaya, measure not with words the immeasurable, nor sink the string of thought into the fathomless. Who asks doth err, who answers errs. Say not. The books teach darkness was, at first of all, and Brahm, so meditating in that night. Look not for Brahm and the beginning there, nor him, nor any light shall any gazer see with mortal eyes, or any searcher know by mortal mind. Veil after veil will lift, but there must be veil upon veil behind. The stars asweep, and question not. This is enough that life and death and joy and woe abide, and cause and sequence, and the course of time, and being's ceaseless tide, which ever changing runs, linked like a river by ripples following ripples, fast or slow, the same, yet not the same, from far off fountain to where its waters flow into the seas. These, steaming to the sun, give the lost wavelets back in cloudy fleece to trickle down the hills and glide again, having no pose or peace. This is enough to know. The phantasms are the heavens, earths, worlds, and changes, changing them a mighty whirling wheel of strife and stress, which none can stay or stem. Pray not, the darkness will not brighten. Ask not from the silence, for it cannot speak. Vex not your mournful minds with pious pains. Ah, brothers, sisters, seek not from the helpless gods by gift and hymn, nor bribe with blood nor feed with fruit and cakes. Within yourselves deliverance must be sought. Each man his prison makes. Yea, that will tread the middle road, whose course bright reason traces, and soft quiet smooth. Yea, who will take the high nirvana way? List the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is sorrow. Be not mocked. Life which ye prize is long-drawn agony. Only its pains abide, its pleasures as birds which light and fly. The second truth is sorrow's cause. What grief springs of itself and springs not of desire. Senses and things perceived mingle, and light passions quick spark the fire. The third is sorrow's ceasing. This is peace, to conquer love of self and lust of life, to tear deep-rooted passion from the breast, to still the inward strife. The fourth truth is the way. It openeth wide, plain for all feet to tread, easy and near, the noble eightfold path. It goeth straight to peace and refuge. And now today's talk, Symbolism of Easter.
Friends, happy Easter. Primary sources for today's talk are the Secret Doctrine, which is the one that HPB and Mr. Judge left us. There are quite a few versions of the Secret Doctrine out there now, but this is the original one, camera copy. And also Universal Theosophy by Robert Crosby, who was the founder of the United Lodge of Theosophists. In the Secret Doctrine, we find that symbolism is the key to understanding the science of the soul, this ancient and unchanging core of all, and the being of each individual soul. Throughout the Secret Doctrine, there are loads of references to symbols and symbolism. It actually devotes about 350 of his 1,475 pages specifically to symbols. A few snippets regarding Easter that we pulled together for you from the Secret Doctrine are: no mythological story, no traditional event in the folklore of people has ever been at any time pure fiction, but that every one of such narratives has an actual historical lining to it. The study of the hidden meaning in every religious and profane legend of whatsoever nation, large or small, preeminently the traditions of the East, and I'll quote in parentheses here, has occupied the greater portion of the present writer's life. We notice here that HPB refers to herself as the writer and not the author of what she has left to us. The author being the masters of wisdom who have dictated to her this information. The first manifestation of the cosmos is in the form of an egg was the most widely diffused belief of antiquity. The egg was chosen as the symbolical representation of the universe. It was a circle and a sphere, and the oviform shape of our globe must have been known from the beginning of symbology. Thus, the mundane egg is perhaps one of the most universally adopted. I'll put that up here. I won't try to draw it. Thus, the mundane egg is perhaps one of the most universally adopted symbols, highly suggestive as it equally in the physiological and the cosmological sense. So both it covers both of these areas. The egg is found in every cosmogony of the world. The egg is self-contained, enclosed within itself. It lives and grows within itself, with only heat added to it. It breaks out of its own shell, the baby chick does. It is evolution in its purest form. HPB said, appearing to the outward senses of all, the egg is a self-generated and self-created being. We note that the shell can represent the sky, the white, the sea, and air, and the yolk, the earth. All three contained in one. And with the example of the pebble and stick, the fourth of the four elements, which is fire, the air, water, earth, and fire, the four elements that virtually that everything consists of, can be made to come, every material item, can be made to come out of an object even though the object does not contain fire in it. You can rub a pebble in a stick and spark comes out. There's no spark in either one of them. Continuing on with some snippets from the Secret Doctrine, there are no ancient symbols without a deep and philosophical meaning attached to them. Their importance and significance increasing with their antiquity. Such is the lotus. It is a flower sacred to nature and her gods, and represents the abstract and the concrete universe, standing as the emblem of the productive powers of both spiritual and physical nature. It was held sacred from the remotest antiquity by the Aryan Hindus, the Egyptians, and the Buddhists after them. It was revered in China and Japan, and adopted as a Christian emblem by the church, who made of it the water lily. The seeds of the lotus contain, even before they germinate, perfectly formed leaves, the miniature shapes for what one day, as perfected plants, they will become. Nature thus giving us a specimen of the preformation of its production. Whether in the lotus or the water lily shape, it signifies one and the same philosophical idea, namely the emanation of the objective from the subjective, divine ideation passing from the abstract into the concrete or visible form. We can also take the lotus and further see how it can be used as a symbol to represent man. The roots growing in the mud represent man's lower nature. The stem moving through the water represents man's inner psychic feeling nature. And the flower blooming in the sunlight represents man's higher spiritual nature. So you have in the lotus or lily a symbol of the threefold expression of the human being. So with the destruction of the Neoplatonic school in Alexandria in the 4th century, Gnostic teachings gave way to orthodoxy, and the viewing of the ancients as ignorant pagans became more commonplace. The ancient wisdom found in Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine have begun to creep back into modern thinking. And many websites are more accepting of ancient traditions, such as the solstice and the vernal equinox, and the references to pagan symbols, such as the egg, and the lotus, and what is then also been changed to the water lily in the Christian world. These symbols are ancient and always belong to humanity's expression of this time of celebration for the rebirth of life. They are not the sole property of any religious group, as some have been fooled into believing. The ancient Egyptians used the horizontal line of the cross to represent spirit. That's supposed to be a straight line. It's a vertical manner. Goes into the soil. The initiate was tied to a cruciform for 3 days and 3 nights in the process of initiation. If they lived through that ordeal, they would step forward as an anointed one. The ancient Egyptians described the initiate being tied down as Christos. And if they went through that, then they become a Christos. So we can see that the cross and the crucifixion are also part of the ancient teachings. Why? Because they are steps in initiation that every soul in the world goes through if they are making progress on the path of spiritual awakening. And some collation here from the Universal Theosophy by Mr. Crosby. Bits and pieces. Back of all the religions that ever have been, there is the record, the tradition of some great personage. Each of these great teachers taught the same doctrine. There is no difference between the teachings of Jesus and the teachings of Buddha, although these teachings are recorded in different languages and an interval of 600 years separated the two great teachers. Every civilization that has been, and the one in which we are in now, is due to a true or false perception of what our real nature is. If we would ever know and understand our natures, we must first understand that there is in us that which never changes at all. Whatever changes are brought about by it. We never are the things we see, or feel, or hear, or know, or experience. It is our lack of faith, our unfaith in that, with a capital T, which puts us where we would not be. Denying the Christ within, the Krishna within, the Spirit within, is the unpardonable sin. And so long as we crucify that Christ within, just so long will we suffer on the cross of human passions and desires. Service for ourselves is a creation which ties us fast to the wrong conditions. We may strive for better bodies, better positions, for possessions of all kinds, better qualities, better understanding, on one condition only, that the motive be to make ourselves be better able to help and teach others. The only true path is the trusting to the law of our spiritual nature. And moving on to some general understanding of Easter, it is said that Easter began with the pagan celebration of Astora, the ancient Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring who brought light and life. From the many variations of her name came the official title of Easter that is used today. As indicated in the Secret Doctrine, the sages of old used symbols to impress dull mortal thought with imagery suggestive of new birth. They pointed to the chick pecking its way out of the shell, the butterfly emerging from the cocoon, the hibernating bird awakening from its sleep, and the emergence of all from the egg. And it said also that humans at one time or other was egg-born. So right now, well, I guess it's internal egg. For this reason, the egg became the basic symbol of the festival, as the young god breaks the shell of his human body to be released into the absolute freedom of spirit. As the Christian gospel says, that Christ arose from the tomb, the gods that we are to come, to emerge, we are all already gods. The gods that we will emerge and shine forth to the degree that we follow the path shown by our elder brothers. So stories in the world of old, the appropriate interpretation of the Christian story which is many stories, the Christian story is based on the world of old, typifies the potential of humanity for uplifting all of life. They show the experience awaiting all humans who reach their morning of deification. And now that we've got the theosophical perspective on Easter, perhaps the passages in the Bibles would take on maybe slightly different meaning. They certainly did for this student. The first book of Ecclesiastes says, "The body returns to the dust, but the soul to God who gave it." Likewise, St. Paul, who was a Gnostic and an early Christian, says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 35, that some will say, "How are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come?" And then he answers that it is sold a natural body, it is raised up a spiritual body. So just to elaborate a little bit, men's souls are sown in a natural body, which is what we talk about. We have entire talks on this. The lower four, which is passions and desires, are in one word, kama. The life principle, jiva. The astral body and physical body. So men's souls are raised up in a spiritual body. The developing upper three, atma, buddhi, manas. Is the manas that we have developed to perfection is what we're talking about here, not the lower manas, which is something that goes from life to life. And we raise that up to the higher manas. That's our work to do here. St. Paul tells us that evolution of the spiritual body is made possible by their ability to transmute, quote, into the likeness of their own glorious bodies. The resurrection body is that body of the infant Christ in us, which we are now slowly gestating over. Our every thought, our every word, our every deed of brotherhood moves forward the gestation process. Our every mean and selfish motive causes this process to dim and flicker low. We have the choice. Our salvation is a process that is in our own hands. It is a living and continuous process to be persistently studied and mastered. Just a little tidbit about Easter, a little bit more. In archaic philosophy, the sun typified the divine spiritual nature in man. And this is the central spiritual sun, which is behind the sun that we see. The moon typified man's earthly physical nature. The spiritual Christ in man, his immortal soul, is generated, birthed, and glorified in the constitution of the mortal human thought through the conjunction of the two natures, the divine and the human. Easter comes in the spring of the year when nature herself stages her rebirth in the outer scene from winter's dormancy. Easter is dated at the Sunday morning following the first full moon after the spring equinox, the conjunction of sun, which is spirit, and moon, which is matter, typifying the birth of the divine child in man. The full moon marks the completion of her divinization, or the end of her pregnancy. Thy whole body shall be full of light, says the Christian scripture. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body is also full of light when the light is shining through it. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, says the scripture, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If thy whole body therefore be full of light, having no part of dark, the whole shall be full of light, as when the bright shining of a candle doth give thee light. That's Luke 11, verses 34 and 35. Horus, in the ancient Egyptian dramas, exclaims that my whole body is filled with light. There is no part of me that is not God. I am divine in every part. So by every suggestion of symbolism, the Christ in us suffers agony, endures his crucifixion, and makes his sacrifice of life for our salvation. So St. Paul was right. Once again, if Christ be not risen, then our faith is in vain. If he be not risen in us, then we have no stake in the resurrection. Without the transformation of ignorance and pettiness in our own natures, we keep the Christ still bound in death, in the only tomb in which he ever lay dead, our mortal physical bodies, which is transportation for the real Christ in us. If we for a moment permit the story of the resurrection of Christ to allure us into the belief that another man's alleged conquest of death in the long past in any degree relieves us from the evolutionary task of achieving our own resurrection, this story becomes a source of a calamity to us. To the extent to which we look to a man or a miracle or any power outside ourselves, to that extent we will let the sleeping divinity within us lie unawakened. We have to reach up to the higher sources. We have to train ourselves to do that. So 1 Corinthians 25, verse 15 is called the chapter of the resurrection. It says, for since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. In the 7th chapter of his epistle to the Romans, St. Paul says that sin rose up and killed him. Death referred to in these writings carries the Greek philosophical connotation of a relative death, the unawakened latency of the soul, when in incarnation it lay buried until the earthly animal nature of the body in which it was planted. So in St. Paul's in 4th Galatians said, he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit. When soul enters the body, says Paul, sin, which is powerless when soul was yet in heaven, springs to life and kills it. In other words, we are souls, we're spiritual beings. We choose to come into our bodies for the purpose of helping and teaching others. And in so do, what we do is we raise ourselves up, studies and understanding the process. And in doing that, we will help and teach others. So says Jesus in the Gospels, unless a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. Says St. Paul, for as in the first Adam all die, even so in Christ, the last Adam shall all be made alive. There are a number of, let's see, I don't think, there's a list here of the vernal, some of the springtime of the soul. Nature foreshadows the opportunity for our eventual resurrection by the vernal chanting of the birds, the leafing of trees, the outbursts of life from the winter thaws, from insects bursting out of the shell, rending the veil of the temple, snakes shedding their old skin, coming forth in a sleek new body, the chicks breaking through the shell which we covered, to be born into a higher kingdom of life. Hares in ancient times and rabbits in today's celebrations have long been symbols of fertility, so it makes sense that they would also be associated with the goddess of spring. So happy Easter, my fellow gods in training. That's from the internet. Okay, and I'll stop here. First hand up.
Now from all of that,
Could you please pick up the mic?
Oh, from all what you've just said, I still sort of confused, and with the basic question that's been always around: what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Okay.
I mean, in that process.
Well, I don't know. The student found a clear answer to that question. But the egg is a symbol, and the chicken came out of the egg. Any other views?
Yes, mine is
Yeah, but
more.
guess what? Where did the egg come from? Okay.
Well, the
egg came
universe
from
is a one
universal
big egg.
egg, yeah.
The universe.
It's kind of like this. It's said that the soul is dropped from the ocean, and it's if you consider that to be limitless, which is the limitless all, frequently referred to as God, but actually God is a
Absolute.
the absolute deity is the everything, and we have taken this idea of God and put it in anthropomorphize it, and you can't do that because the idea of deity is limited, unlimited. The soul is within that, and eventually, as we work toward purification of the soul, it becomes one with the oversoul, and that's when we become the most effective, and we can choose to come back in the body or not if we want to help struggling humanity.
Yeah, I was reading Kandinsky, the artist, and I think Dupree mentioned him in his last talk. He's a theosophist. And he says that the horizontal line is matter and the vertical is spirit. And he said, because the horizontal is like walking on the earth, it's horizontal matter.
I may have
You're
got it
moving.
wrong. I just stuck that based on my memory. If that's what I suppose it is right. You know, it should be the reverse. I thought I saw it that way, but
Yes,
it
probably.
doesn't really matter.
The other thing is, where would Christ, the Christos principle, be within that symbol of the Easter egg? Is that more like the monad, deep inside?
Well, the Easter egg, like I said, the symbol of that is that it basically it contains all in one there, And the Christ principle, meaning that we have a perfected being coming to show us the way, and that, in that term, it's said that maybe it might have been, we're not quite sure exactly who Christ was as a personality. Could have been Joshua ben Pandera in about the 300 years BC. But anyway, those who come, the Buddha, the Christ, and there's a list of them, Krishna, of perfected beings, they come to show us the way. They have become one with that oversoul that the student tried to speak of, which is limited, no bounds. So they have become one with it, and they are here to help struggling humanity, or they come to help struggling humanity find our way back to our original source, which was that limitless source. And as we have these earth experiences, we work to lift everything up around us, and in that process, we acquire that knowledge and that I say it's beyond that understanding, knowledge being divine and so forth. But it's beyond school knowledge. It includes the spiritual side too. We then have the potential, if we work at it, to be helped by, to be found and helped by, because they're not going to find us. We have to raise ourselves up to their level. It's said that they're so magnetic that we couldn't stand to be before them. So, but we have that path that's shown to us through the masses and HPB recording what she was told, to work our way to that level. And Jesus said himself, you can do greater things than I. So he's showing the path too, if we interpret his teachings correctly. I guess, Tuja, you want? Tuja.
Oh, I thought someone else was
No.
asking.
Dupree, were you there?
No.
Okay.
Well, this is in connection with the previous question. At the beginning of the Secret Doctrine, HPB talks about a disc that is boundless. And in the next, on the next page, she says the disc or the egg has a point in the center of it. This is in relation to Dupree's question. So obviously the egg is there, and that's the representation of our universe, but at the cosmic level, it is everything. At this level, it can be the solar system or it can be the earth. And she says all that and everything that is given in those books should be applied to earth and nowhere else. That the substance of the other spheres and how it, I was going to say conducts itself, but how it combines and disperses, attraction and repulsion is applicable to all of the solar system, is not in the same mode as is experienced here on Earth. So the egg as a symbol really doesn't have a periphery, but she says in our mind it does, because without limiting it we wouldn't be able to understand it.
Exactly right. You can't draw a picture of the all here, because the first thing you're doing, if you try to draw a circle, you're limited, and you cannot limit that.
And those who can actually look into the inner life says that this is also an illusion. The body is an illusion.
Sure it is.
Because you would wonder how your spirit would be able to be contained in it. And those who see it know that there is that connectivity between all of the souls because they live within the same matrix of the universe. And that matrix is called Akasha in the higher realms and astral in the lower. So until we also go behind the scenes of the phenomenal and actually can perceive with the inner eye the noumenal, that connectivity, that universal brotherhood connectivity, which is based on that oneness, is not visible to us, and that's the difficulty.
Well, to us and our, it says that at one time we were able to do that, but we've lost that at this stage of our development. Yeah, we need to try. We're working to get that back. Plenty of land, so it's calcified. No, it's petrified back there.
Atrophied.
The third eye.
Yeah. So then, with the idea of resurrection, is that the thing that those who do hold to that particular doctrine, are they saying that the physical body will actually come back, or is it the spiritual body that you alluded to?
The physical body, it said, is a very fine, it can develop into a very fine instrument when it becomes perfected. When we become perfected, then we have woven that body of spiritual nature, and that's when we're talking about perfected individuals, which are really can choose to be visible or not. And that's this student's understanding.
No, I was trying to.
I'm still working on awakening this.
Yeah,
back here.
I was trying to, since, in theosophy, reincarnation is considered the lost chord of Christianity. So those who followed Jesus and believe in him, the resurrection of Jesus, okay, we understand that, okay, here's an adept, it could have been an astral body, et cetera, et cetera. But if they had lost the idea of reincarnation, so then they say that we will be resurrected, the Christians, the followers, the literal people who follow it, word for word, dead letter. So then are they saying that their physical body will be, it seems, I'm trying to work it out in my head where it's, okay, now if you're in the ground and you're rotting away now, stuff like that, right? You have to have a skeleton there, but yet at the time.
That's not who you are.
No, but I'm in their mind, I'm trying to find their logic. So on the day.
To be resurrected, is that the question?
Yes. Are they saying not just these skeletons, but your form going to pop up and you're going to be as you were? Is that basically what the logic is? But according to their mind, the ardent believer that's out there today, whoever they may be in the Christian world, speaking of this particular Christian doctrine, and they're saying at the day of whatever day all these souls will be resurrected. So will they be resurrected in this astral body, or will they be because resurrection is mostly associated with the physical body, right? Yeah. So I'm just trying to work it out.
What is the astral body? It is the blueprint of the physical body. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Does Christians believe that? Do they promulgate such a philosophy?
That's my point.
I've never seen that, and I don't believe that it's part in any way part of Christianity. This is the student's understanding.
So the resurrection in the physical body does not make any sense to the
resurrection in body and soul. That means the
because
physical body does not make sense.
There is a
not as we perceive the physical body.
No, there is a passage in the Secret Doctrine where it says that once the physical body disintegrates, in the next life, what you have done in this one and previous ones will bring about the skandhas, the residue that you have not worked on is going to come back to you. It's an automatic process in the sense that the electromagnetic imprint on it attracts it back. Well, this student hasn't seen that in the Christian religion verses, and when HPV came in the 1875 to the United States, she has written several articles where she is demanding respect, not just for the human, but the animal world, saying that they also are soul. They also have souls. Even though it is group soul, it is still a soul, and it survives death. Only in this 21st century, this recent Pope has granted animals finally souls.
Well, I think it never was part of the original Christian belief that it's okay to go out and shoot up the world, like we kind of seem to get the impression that some Christians would say, hey, you know, like a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other. That has never been part of the real original Christian religion. That is man-made. If they justify that, you can justify it.
I'm just saying that the Pope has changed their philosophy and granted the animals a soul finally.
There's no question. The animal, you said it accurately the way this student understands it. It's we're talking about group souls in the animal kingdom, and that's what differentiates animal kingdom from the human kingdom is the lighting up of the mind, which some of us humans probably aren't fully lit up yet, but the lighting up of the mind. Light is a very important concept, as I think we remember a quote, the lighting through the eye.
So that philosophy that you refer to is not quite interpreted the way you interpret it.
Absolutely not. That's why we presented the theosophical perspective on the Secret Doctrine, and then when you read, you know, those who have studied the Bible before they appeared in Theosophy, before they ever heard of Theosophy in this life, if they were to go back and read some of these passages, they would have a different interpretation than their individual beliefs would have. That's why we did that first, and because this is, quote, a Christian holiday, I think we've dispelled with that myth today in today's talk. It is not a Christian holiday.
It's a pagan holiday that the Christians adopted.
Exactly. The pagan system got worked in, and then the pagans were considered ignorant, and the wisdom of old. And there's a movie on that too, by the way. The scientists, current scientists, top physicists and so forth are saying, hey, there's relics of planes, and they actually built a plane in that way. And they're saying that the ancient folks were able to use their mind to fly and so forth. I said, whoa, that's what I've understand this in the teachings here 100 years ago. And some of the top physicists are saying, wait, you know, we found this and we tried to build a plane like this and it actually flew.
That was the Egyptian model that they found in one of the sarcophagus.
Yes.
I'm pronouncing it.
Throughout your presentation, you mentioned the Crestos, the Christos, and them tying down the candidate on this, what appeared to be what we perceive as a cross, and for 3 days.
Yeah.
What's going on during those 3 days, and why necessarily 3? You said also, I think, if he survives it, something like that, as if there is some sort of danger there. So what's all that? Did you come across anything that would suggest what's going on, and then what's the danger for that person to get to that point of initiation? Certainly suggests that they're worthy of a try. It's just like, you know, like on a college campus, they got the hazing thing. You know, that seems like that's that initiation into that. So this is another initiation into a higher thing.
Yeah, higher thing. It's
Yeah.
stages of initiation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yet still, they're tied down, and they're just, the body is just, I guess, paralyzed or something like that. They can't move or anything like that.
Symbolic representation, yeah.
So their inner
guess self, something like that. Where does that go? What's happening with all that? What's going on with those 3 days?
Well, I see your hand up over here. Let this student respond, and then this
okay.
student will maybe chime in.
Thank you. There's an explanation in the Secret Doctrine, because HPB says the pyramid, Cheops, in Egypt, in her opinion, or probably she says, is where Jesus Christ was also initiated. What happened was, or what happens is, because I'm sure that process still goes somewhere, is that the candidate is taken into the inner chamber, and the crevices or openings to the outside of the pyramid are actually passageways where the light directly goes into that chamber. And the 3-day designation, she says, is when the candidate goes to Hades, underworld. So they have work to do in the underworld, and if they accomplish that work and are able to come back from it, that's when that initiation occurs. And she says in the Secret Doctrine, when the light came in from the passageway all the way into the inner chamber, it hit the candidate on the face and woke him up from that deep sleep. And then the Hierophant would come in and baptize it. And she says that baptismal font that Piazzi Smith found and called it a corn bin, she said that was the baptismal font where the Hierophant would use the water from it to baptize and initiate the person into a higher order of work. And that's when you became a Christos. From Christos, you then became a Christos, someone who was going to go out and exercise their occult powers in helping others.
I hope everybody listening in heard that. We forgot to pass the mic up, but I think you could probably hear bits and pieces of it. There was, I think I probably read it, but I think when we're talking about the eye and the light in, there's a passage here too, talking about the eye letting in light. I don't know if I read it or not. I'm looking for it now. The eye letting in light, and here we go. I think I read it. Yeah.
HPV says the eye is the passage to the soul. So it's the window that reflects your soul.
So we have the choice. We can let in the light, or we can let in the darkness.
Or you can let the light come out also that way.
Well, I think our time is up. Was there another hand up? No. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. We are here to try to carry on the work as passed down to us. If there are those out there who are in accord, feel in accord with this message, and who can get to Bethesda location, we would love to see you. 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings is when we meet for our discussion, and sometimes it's a round table, sometimes it's a speaker coming up here and giving a little talk, and then question and answer period. Today also we have, and is this the first? This is first Sunday. Yes, we have the afternoon session starting after a short break of getting together and a little snack or something. Then we'll get into our Living the Life series, which we're continuing to study. And so please come help us carry on